Digimon Survive has arrived after a long anticipated wait. It's been a few years since Digimon has turned things around for its gaming ventures, with both successes and some middling affairs in various genres. Now, they are tackling the visual novel, a choice that might rub some the wrong way, but I made an earnest effort to play through it, and now I want to give my thoughts on this newest Digimon adventure. Like I said, and for several years the team mentioned, Digimon Survive is a visual novel. Despite this, there's been a lot of negativity towards this game for its choice of genre. While I personally don't like visual novels, I gave this game its fair shot. And full stop, this game did not turn me around on visual novels at all. It was a long slog to the end, and I don't think it was a specifically very good game in all honesty. The conversations circle for far too long without significant progress, gameplay elements outside of simply progressing through the text are thin at best, and the overall experience felt like a poorly paced slog. So yeah, I'm pretty down on this game. I was hoping it would have some real compelling moments and elements, but it simply doesn't. Instead of leaning in on the variety that's here, it chooses to go for simplicity. The result is a game that just doesn't grab me at any point and consistently feels like I'd rather not do certain things because of how shallow the experience was. That said, there are some bright spots in this game. For starters, the story here is actually pretty interesting. It begins like most Digimon adventures do. Several kids get themselves transported to a mysterious place, make friends with cute monsters, and go exploring, battling, and like the title says, surviving. It's both the usual story, but also a delightfully more serious one given that there are real stakes. Not long after the initial setup, the game gives several clues that no, you and your monsters don't get knocked out in this world, they die. Death is such a huge part of the story in Survive that I was initially taken aback by it. The entire cast is subject to death depending on the choices that you make throughout. You can save some, or lead them to grisly fates depending on how you proceed. It's interesting and a pretty nice twist on the cute monster battling world, but it doesn't save the game's story sadly. The darker tone is appreciated, but the poor pace of elements left massive gaps in interest for me. When the game is on its main bullet points, it's quite interesting, but everything in between is such a slog of the same thing. Character interactions and gameplay loop that it was hard to not skip through dozens of small conversations. So the general core story is good, but the overall execution is weak at best. Also, I want to praise the artwork here as well. On the Switch, it actually looks quite nice. The assets seem to be made with high enough quality that it really stood out. Not in every instance, but I thought it was worth mentioning. That said, the gameplay assets in battle are weak and look like something Compile Heart would have made in the PS3 era. Other than the story, there are a few other basic gameplay elements at play. Your phone acts as a hidden item finder and can be done in almost every area. Usually you'll find basic items, but sometimes rare items, journals, or special battles can be triggered. Outside of the special battles though, this mechanic got kind of old, kinda quick for me. There's also battling in this game. It takes place on a traditional strategy RPG grid where you face off against other Digimon. The mechanics and visuals are super simple here, almost as if it was an afterthought. While I can pass on the visuals, the gameplay here is so much nothing that I started to dread these segments. Whereas games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Triangle Strategy, to name something more modern, are loaded with interesting gimmicks, there's none here. Literally nothing. Sure, back attacks do more damage, and typing can play a small factor, but that's it. It's so simple and unsatisfying. You can also recruit Digimon in free battles almost any time during the game. Free battles have a nice variety of Digimon who can be talked to and persuaded to join your team if you're successful. It's very similar to Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, but even this isn't all that interesting after a few hours. Honestly, that's all there is to Digimon Survive. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Digimon. Survive really did give that ground level feeling of being pulled into the Digimon world and the confusion and struggle it would be to be there for these kids. It got me there in that regard, but the slow pace and unengaging gameplay elements really left me wanting. I can praise the general story and the elements that go into its quite different take on things, but that's about it. If you're not into visual novels, Digimon Survive is a hard sell. Compounding that with battles that take a massive backseat to progressing text, it becomes even harder to recommend for anyone who isn't 100% down for this type of game and gameplay spread. Personally, it wasn't for me, and even after rolling credits, I had zero inclination to go back for the other story routes and to see what I missed. This game was a big miss for me personally, but for the Digimon visual novel basic SRPG lover out there, it might be up your alley. For everyone else, this is probably a hard pass. Anyway, thanks for watching this review. This was my thoughts on Digimon Survive. Personally, it wasn't for me. I enjoyed the story, but I couldn't really get into any other element of the game. So yeah, it's a hard to recommend game for me, but if you like this review, please leave a like, sub, and even ring that little bell for notifications when I upload a new video. And also leave a comment. Do you really like this game? Did you like some of the plot twists? Did you hate it? Let me know down below and we can talk about it a little bit maybe. Anyway, I hope to see you again for another review or one of my other videos. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day or rest of your evening whenever you're watching this. Good night, good day, good game.